just know that I hear you and I get it. Totally. Been there, done that. I get it. You need to know that there are many factors at play here. Welcome to Mother-Daughter Connections, the show dedicated to educating, encouraging, and equipping moms to build lasting, meaningful connections with their daughters. I'm your host and mother-daughter relationship personal trainer, Dr. Michelle Deering. My heart is to be of help to you. I believe that your relationship with your mom is the foundation for your future success, personally, parentally, and professionally. Now remember, even though I'm a licensed psychologist, I'm not your shrink on this show. I am, however, here to share my opinions and those of my guests. If you have concerns about your mental health, please seek services from a mental health provider in your local area. Now join me as we pause to consider today's topic. You know, this motherhood journey is a marathon, not a sprint. And the terrain of motherhood has many ups and downs and rough and smooth places. Now, I've been thinking about how the best marathoners have succeeded in their races because they've gotten personalized input from a coach or a trainer who's been there and done that using proven researched methods. So, for motherhood, why not follow their example? If you're a newbie mom or a mom in the trenches or even a seasoned mom in the marathon that is motherhood, working with a coach or a personal trainer who's been there and done that well will not only prepare you for the terrain ahead, but it'll also help you do what you need to do now to be the best mom you can be for your daughter. That's why I'm offering you my Motherhood Mastery Mentoring Program. Drawing upon my sports psychology training to address having an optimal mom mindset, the Motherhood Mastery Mentoring Program is designed to give you personalized and practical tools, strategies, research, evidence-based approaches that will help you connect confidently with your daughter instead of contributing to conflict. Hear and be heard by your daughter instead of having heartache, and communicate more clearly instead of constantly circling around issues. So, if you're tired of tensions, or you're wanting to be prepared for the next stages, or you're committed to continuous improvement, or you're just longing for change in your mother-daughter relationship, then apply today. I'm opening up just 7 slots for new mentees. So grab your spot by going to bit.ly/motherhood mentor. That's bit.ly/motherhood mentor. The small application fee will be deducted from the cost of the program. Again, that's bit.ly/motherhood mentor. I look forward to working with you. Now, let's hop into today's episode. Well, hi there and welcome. I am so glad that you've joined me here today. You know, last week when we were together, I shared a Daughter Talk survey question that I had received from a mom named Charlotte, who has 2 daughters. And I specifically addressed Charlotte's expressed feelings about regret. And for more on that, just listen to last week's episode, How to Deal with Maternal Regret. Often when I've worked with moms and daughters over the last 25 plus years, I often hear regret in their voices, and I see it in their body language. So for you moms and or daughters who took the time to fill out my Daughter Talk survey and express that, just know I hear you and I take that seriously. Now, there was another aspect of Charlotte's question that is also something I hear a lot from my mom clients about, and that is something that I want to address. It's having a situation where there are rifts between their children in their own relationships with each other. So let me read again what Charlotte wrote. She wrote, "Dear Dr. Deering, I'm a mom of 2 grown daughters. My parenting skills over the years, especially early on, had some holes and blind spots. I wanted desperately to be a good mom, but was not good at connections. This has resulted in my now being on the outs with both of them. Both my daughters have very different lifestyles that have led them down different financial paths that have had them at odds with each other. I love both my daughters and want a better relationship with them. I am at a loss on how to handle it all. What should I do? Sincerely, Charlotte." I hear many things in Charlotte's description about her daughters, and I want to share 3 thoughts with her and you if you're experiencing similar stuff amongst your children or daughters. My first thought is that whether you're connecting or not connecting with your daughter, both of those things have consequences no matter how you slice it. The question is really about how are you connecting or not connecting with your daughter. For example, do you connect in a controlling way or not? Or do you not connect with upfront communication about your reasons why or not? It's really all in the how of the now moments in how you do things to connect or not connect. My second thought that I want to share is your daughters are different from each other. Therefore, their lives will have differences. So a question that you need to ask yourself as their mom is, what are your real thoughts and feelings regarding those differences? Sibling rifts or rivalries don't happen out of the blue. They occur due not only to internal personal factors, but also external parental factors. Now, one way to abate the acrimony is to make sure that you communicate and demonstrate that you love them equally and parent them equitably. That is a big distinction there. Every well-intentioned mom loves their kids. In this situation, Charlotte and the Charlottes out there, I know you love your daughters. It's also important for you to not only communicate that you love them equally, meaning the same, that love for them is the same, needs to be the same, but that you parent them equitably. And by that I mean you take into account that they have different things going on in their lives. They have different personalities. They respond different ways to different things. Therefore, you have to tailor how you parent them according to what it is that they are presenting you with. I think it's a false notion to think that you treat everybody equally. And I'm just speaking specifically to the mother-daughter relationship. You cannot treat every daughter that you have equally because they each have different situations going on. I think I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but I love horses. I'm not really beating a dead horse, but you know what I mean. I'm really trying to just emphasize that there's a distinction that needs to be made, that you love them equally. The love for them is equal, but the way in which you parent them has to be equitable based on what it is that's going on with each of them. The third thought I have is that as a mom, as you endeavor to navigate the sibling terrain between the two of them, it'll be important to not, one, triangulate yourself in what's going on between them, and to not negotiate for either of them. Okay? In essence, I'm saying don't take sides. This whole triangulating thing, I don't know if you've ever played that game Telephone, where, there's this long line of people and you have one person whispers something into the next person's ear. They'll say a phrase, and then that person whispers it to the next person and the next person and the next person. And it just goes on down the line. And by the time you get to the last person on that other end of the line, the message is completely different. That's what happens when you get triangulated into situations like this, is that something gets lost in the translation. And so it's better to encourage communication between your daughters. Give them the tools that they need to be able to communicate with each other. Okay? So those are my thoughts for you, Charlotte, as well as any other Charlottes that are out there who are in a similar situation. Now, if you're a daughter experiencing a rift with your sister or siblings and you're feeling some kind of way about it all, just know that I hear you and I get it. Totally. Been there, done that. I get it. You need to know that there are many factors at play here, not the least of which is likely, one, how your mom or parents treated each of you, but two, how all of that made you feel about yourself. And so really just owning up to how you're feeling about yourself in light of all of that rift and sibling stuff going on is really going to be key. So may I ask you, daughter, to just pause to consider two things. One is that sibling relationships are like any relationships in that it takes two to make it work. So assess and take stock of where the effort is or is not occurring in your relationship with your sister or your siblings. And as you take stock, you need to ask yourself two things. Have you been giving to your siblings with an open hand, or has it had strings attached? And the second thing to ask yourself is, have there been any clearly communicated boundary lines or limits that have been crossed by your siblings? This is going to be important to know because you see, your answer to each of these questions will factor into how you decide to handle your specific situation. And if you need assistance parceling that out, you can always go to bit.ly/microsolutions call to schedule a quick microsolutions call with me, and I'll help you figure that out. Again, it's bit.ly/microsolutions call. Well, those are my thoughts regarding things to consider in order to solve sibling rifts and rivalries as adult daughters. I am really, really glad that you spent time here together with me for some daughter talk where you could ask me anything. And would you do me and this community a favor and go to the review section of the podcast platform that you're listening to this podcast on and just click 5 stars and write a short shout out or a review of the episode? Remember, this podcast is a free resource to you, and your review actually pays it forward to other moms who'll be notified about future episodes when they air. I can't begin to tell you how often I've heard from moms who let me know that when I ask them, how'd you hear about the podcast? They're like, oh, it just popped up on my phone feed this morning, and it was just the thing I needed to hear. So do make sure to leave a review on the podcast platform that you're listening to. Click the 5 stars, write a short shout out and review. Until next time, be encouraged and know that healthy mother-daughter relationships are possible. They just take one connection at a time. I'll see you next week. You've been listening to Mother-Daughter Connections with me, your host and mother-daughter relationship personal trainer, Dr. Michelle Deering. Thanks so much for joining me today. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Share this episode with a friend so they don't miss an episode. And download the resource in the show notes. Until next time, remember to pause to consider how you can connect intentionally so you can improve relationally with your daughter.